baseball fans, my name is Dave from the Frontier League Journal. I have a new background. It's a work in progress right now, but it's coming along. It's way better than the Blue Jays flag. And we have today on Game Talk, just to talk about some of the games or the last game that were played, we have Reed Keller. Reed Keller is the broadcaster and media coordinator for the New Jersey Jackals. How are you, beautiful thing?
I'm great, Dave. How are you?
I'm great, man. How old are you?
I am 24.
You're 24, and Billy Pinckney is?
He is, I believe, about to turn 20.
Wow. I mean, the guy is more mature than I am, is better at everything that I do. I mean, I don't know you as much yet because you don't have as much public content. But I mean, I love Billy. Billy, I'm a huge fan of your stuff. I do not know where or when he sleeps, but I love what he's doing.
He pretty much doesn't. He lives, breathes, eats, sleeps Jackals baseball. He is actually one of the longest tenured members of the organization. This is now his 9th season. He started as a bat boy and has always been interested in content creation. And he has done just absolutely amazing work. I rely on him constantly for player information, different videos, he created a whole new slate of video board entertainment for our fans this season. He told me after our media day, he was up till 2 a.m. editing player headshots. And that's not because, well, it is because he gets to post it on his pages and build his brand, but it's all for the love of Jackals baseball and our passionate fan base. And so he's a great guy to have around. He's a great guy to work with. And I've had a respect for him for a very long time, and getting to work for him and with him these last 2 years has been the honor of my lifetime.
Wow. And on your end, I think this is your first year with the Jackals. Is that it?
So technically, I was an intern for the team in 2018, took a year off to pursue some other things and graduate college in 2019. And then in 2020, some other job opportunities had fallen through as a result of the pandemic, but the Jackals were playing a 6-team pod league with them, the Sussex County Miners, and at the time, the Rockland Boulders, all creating sister teams that shared their stadium. It was called the All-American Baseball Challenge. So that's how we played baseball last year. And I showed up at the stadium. I told the general manager, Gil Adio, that I was interested in broadcasting the games and did that for the summer with completely free of charge, just donating my time to an organization that I grew up with. I've been going to games there since I was able to walk, and that's where I learned to love the game of baseball, and did a good enough job that they asked me to return in an official capacity this season. So in terms of having a title and actually putting together a professional broadcast, this is my first full season. Yes.
Wow, you have a great voice, by the way.
Thank you.
If you had to do a game report on your performance on your first game yesterday against the Boulders, how would you rate yourself?
There is plenty of room for improvement, and that will probably be my stock answer for any time I'm asked that question. But for an opening day broadcast, I think it went very, very well. We were able to produce pregame shows for the Frontier League TV platform and our radio platform on Mixlr, which is a free internet radio streaming service. So different pregame shows, slightly different content, and all things that, as far as I can tell, other teams haven't done quite yet. I'm sure that those plans are in the works, but our fans love Jackals content. So on the Frontier League TV pregame show, I did a quick intro about the game last night. I interviewed Brooks Carey, who is our manager, and then got set up for this game. On the radio side, I aired an interview that I recorded earlier with Santiago Chirino, a returning player from 2019, who has been a key cog in the lineup and defensively. And that was aired 10 minutes before game time on the radio. So different shows, a lot of moving parts that were put together very quickly, but something that I want to continue doing throughout the game. And then in terms of calling the game, it was like riding a bike. There was plenty of action, got to describe a crowd, which was great, and the weather as well, which was less than ideal and has continued to be so today.
Hmm. And it's very important that people remember and realize that this is the first year that the Frontier League has had as much teams and also has had a streaming service. So it's on Vimeo this year. First year, the Florencials are doing a great job. Pre-game shows with Danielle and Alex. Great job. And it's just fun to discover new voices of the game because me and my immersion into the Frontier League this year, I mean, I've been used to the people who do Major League Baseball broadcast. So
Right.
just to hear the new talent coming up with the Frontier League, this is amazing. And this is a way for me to just give a platform for them because you are very, very good. I mean, you have the voice and you have the passion. So congratulations. But enough about you. We'll talk some Jackals baseball. 2 wins against the Boulders. Let's face it, the Boulders will be good this year. They are good right now. They were close contest, a few bad innings here and there for the Boulders that cost them. In the first game, Agresti with the sacrifice fly, great baseball, love this player. And Dylan Bramer, that you say?
Dylan Bramer.
Dylan Bramer. He seems very intense. Can you talk to me? Is he always like that?
So on the field, yes, absolutely. He recorded actually his second save last night. So 2 games, 2 saves for him. The first one was a 4-out performance. Last night was the standard 1-2-3 in the 9th inning.
Lazy.
Yeah, he did allow a run last night on a single and an RBI double to make the game at the final score of 8-6. But he got a strikeout to end the game, and he was pumping his fist, running around the mound, getting into the high five line. When he completes a game, he is the most intense guy you have seen. I mean, I saw him pitch 3 innings to close out the 2019 championship, the Can-Am League, and it was one of the most impressive pitching performances. It was Madison Bumgarner-esque, if you remember that World Series with the Giants and Royals. So that performance was great. And his intensity on the mound, he believes that he is going to beat you, whether your batting average is 0 or whether your batting average is 1,000. He is going to come after you. But off the field, he's calm, cool, relaxed. You know, he'll spin you a really great story. He'll get guys laughing at stuff that he says or antics he pulls. But the mental switch that he flips when he walks out of that bullpen to protect the lead in the 9th inning is something I've never seen before from a relief pitcher.
Have you seen opposing batters or even teams are just maybe reacting not that well to that kind of, I'll say not attitude, but those kind of reaction?
No, I think the league and this level of play, especially because the rosters are so young now with the Frontier League rules, I think these guys are all of the belief or the baseball mindset of let the kids play. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to hit a home run and do a bat flip and you catch all of the pitch, it seems like most of the guys are saying, hey, you know, I should have thrown a better pitch. Or if a pitcher strikes you out like Bramer and he runs off the mound and he's fist pumping, well, you just won a game where last night the Jackals came back from 4-0 down, scored 6 runs in the 6th inning. You know, you had your opportunities to win the game. They came back, they won the game. They should be pumped up. So I think a lot of the guys are of the belief that you make a big play, you should celebrate it.
Wow, I love it. And the baseball in the Frontier League so far this season it's amazing, man. It's really good baseball and ups and downs, and teams are getting back in the game. And I mean, very good performances by the relievers so far, all across the leagues, all across the league. I'm sorry. If we want to talk about the last night's game, okay, for some reason the scores are not yet on Point Street. Let's not talk about this. It will be back and on Point Street. Can you talk to me about the game last night? I mean, I think Ross Olive hit a triple, 3-run triple. Just talk to me about the performance yesterday.
Yeah, so I would like to apologize first for the technical difficulties we had with the Point Streak scoring system. Those will be rectified as soon as possible. We're working on that, and we have the beneficial off day today to kind of work through those. But the game was a seesaw battle that really picked up in the middle innings. So John Hayes started for the Jackals, went 1-2-3 in the first inning, recorded a strikeout, and 2 strikeouts actually, and a flyout to center. Goes through the second inning, gives up a walk, allows a base runner on an error. Third inning, also fairly clean. Fourth inning, he runs into trouble. Boulders bat around, send 10 guys to the plate, and score 4 runs on 5 hits. Wow. So the Boulders are up 4-0. And then at the bottom of that frame, bottom of the fourth, Jackals are able to cut the lead in half almost immediately. It starts with a Russ Olive walk, as you mentioned. He had a really great game. And the Jackals the whole night were incredibly patient at the plate, worked a ton of walks, fought back in counts, got down 0-2 a couple times, ended up on base with a free pass. But Russ Olive walks to lead off that bottom of the fourth, and Alfredo Marte hits probably the fastest home run I have seen in person, an absolute frozen rope off the left field foul pole. So it's 4-2, stays that way until the 6th inning, where the Jackals offense really comes alive. They bat around in that inning, score 6 runs on 4 walks, and then the big Russ Olive 3 RBI triple. And I've not really seen these guys play outside of spring training, inter-squad games, and games against the Black Sox, who are a traveling baseball team. Olive, it seemed, hit the ball. It got to the center field wall. And then as I look up after the runs have crossed home plate, he's already standing at third in the blink of an eye. So he's got blazing speed and is going to play first base and the outfield for us. And if he delivers solid defense like he did last night and with the bat, he's going to be a very tough guy to stop at the top of that lineup, especially when he's protected by Marte. Mm-hmm. So that was the big hit. And that's kind of how the Jackals are going to be built this season. Pitch well enough to keep games close. Our pitching staff, I think, is one of the strongest in the league. And then wait for the big hit to come from some of our experienced guys or the young guys who have quick bats and quick hands. In this case, it was a big blow in a 6-run inning, which I don't think is going to happen very often, especially once the pitching catches up. But that's how this team is built. Pitch well, keep it close, get a big hit, and go to the bullpen.
Have you talked to the Boulders manager, TJ Stanton? Have you talked to him after the game?
I have. I have a lot of respect for TJ, even when he was in Three Rivers and Trois Rivières. So I will try to brush up on my French, as I know you're brushing up on your English. He is. I have a lot of respect for him and the way that he has built this team for the ballpark. And I know you and the rest of the Boulders administration had a long conversation about that a few months ago. But I talked to him after the game, and he said, it wasn't a great game from where he stood, but it was exciting, and the Jackals and Boulders rivalry is storied. There's a lot of chapters to it, and they're just going to continue adding as we play in the Frontier League.
I mean, it's not your job to say yes to what I'm about to say, but I really think that the Boulders, once they get going, once they gel as a team, they're going to be a huge force in the league. I mean, I really love their roster as much as I like yours. But anyway, I just wanted to get a sense of where TJ was after those 2 losses. I'm not sure that's how he perceived the beginning of the season just a week ago.
Well, I don't think anybody envisions starting off 0-2 with 2 close losses where there's, 1 inning from the bullpen that works against your team. But I do agree with you. I mean, especially with their ballpark, they are going to score a ton of runs. They have a lot of speed. Jason Agresti is a great catcher. He's got a great arm. He frames pitches incredibly well. But the Boulders outfielders have stolen off the Jackals pretty well so far. I don't think they've been caught once. And Milton Smith has seemingly been on base every time you look up. Mm-hmm. So they are going to be a very tough out. Fortunately, they're not in our division anymore. So if they were to make the playoffs, it's not at our expense, where the division winners are obviously the only ones who are going to make the playoffs this year. But to get 2 wins against a very talented team, and a team that we will see a lot of down the road, is certainly beneficial for the mindset of this club, and to kind of give us a look at where we're at right now.
Perfect. And last question about the roster so far this season, and it's very, very early this season. Does the team revolve around Alfredo Marte? I mean, do you know what I mean? Is he like the heart of the team and people look up to him? He's just amazing.
He is. And I don't want to focus just on him as no, I agree with you. He is the heart of this team. He's in the fourth spot. He's expected to drive in runs. He's expected to hit home runs. And he's one of the guys on this team who has major league experience. So just on those classifications alone, he is a guy that is always smiling. He's boisterous. He's always laughing. He's bringing the guys in, and he's bilingual. So he can bring the entire team together. Even if, someone doesn't speak English as well, he can translate, get them in on the joke. And, everybody feels like a very cohesive unit, even this early into the season and through spring training. But yes, he is one of the guys that is going to be in that 4, 5, 6 hole, middle of the lineup, high RBI guy. And he's going to play great defense. I mean, he made a couple of diving attempts at balls. He made one play in the middle innings of the game where he went back in left field, caught the ball over his head, kind of behind him, then brought the ball to his throwing hand and fired to first base and almost got a 7-3 double play, which you never see. Yeah. I mean, it didn't happen. The throw went slightly up the first base line, but it was a bang, bang play. So his defense is on point. His bat seems to be on point. And early in the season, I think that's going to be very beneficial for this roster. However, you have guys like Santiago Chirino, who is a professional hitter, Demetrius Moore at the top of the lineup. This lineup is constructed very similar to the Yankees lineup when everyone is healthy, in that the guys aren't all going to be hitting at the same time. They're not all going to be at a hot streak 1 through 9, but there will be guys who are hitting well enough to carry the team. So Marte has started the year very well. Russ Olive has started the year very well. If they get cold, the lineup can then turn to Demetrius Moore, to some of the guys off the bench, to TJ Ward, who has been here last year and hit very well. This is a deep 1 through 9 lineup, and there will be guys who are going to pick up the slack if the guys that are sharing the cover off the ball right now start to cool off as we get later into June and July.
Wow, what a nice insight into that lineup, man. Wow. Well, how about the pitching staff? Jose Almonte on Thursday was amazing. 8 strikeouts. I have it here. 5.2 innings pitch. Talk to me about the pitching staff, please.
So the pitching staff is one of the strengths of the team, as I mentioned earlier, all the way across. I mean, we have 12 pitchers on the roster, 5 in the rotation, obviously. But Brooks Carey loves to mix and match. And we basically have a pitching staff reminiscent of the Rays, where guys can come out of the bullpen, throw 4 innings in what amounts to a long relief appearance, and we can piece the game together inning by inning. Almonte was very good on opening day, did exactly what was asked of him, go into the middle stages of the game, get us to our relievers with the game close enough to win. And he actually wasn't even penciled in as the opening day starter. We signed Ronald Herrera, former Yankee, former Texas Ranger, I believe. And he is out with a broken bone he's on his way back. He will be back. But he was supposed to be the opening day starter. Once we discovered the injury, had to shuffle some things around. But everybody has this next man up mentality already. And some of the relievers that you've seen, Jason Zardowski, who picked up the win on opening day and pitched last night, has been a great rubber-armed reliever so far in the 2 games. Brock Noten came in to quell the Boulders rally when they batted around in that 4th inning and ended up giving us 2 2/3. We have Spencer Hereford, who hasn't gotten into a game, but is going to be a blazing pitcher. Hayden Shenefield was supposed to pitch today as the 3rd man on the roster in the rotation, but obviously rained out, so he'll get pushed back probably to one of the games tomorrow. Just guys that are not going to back down. They are going to attack everyone in the lineup. They are well schooled in breaking pitches. We haven't seen Chase Ingram yet this year. He's going to be a 4th starter, I think, for us. He has one of the nastiest curveballs I've ever seen. And I keep saying, this has been the best I've ever seen. This has been the best I've ever seen. only 24. I haven't seen as much baseball as management. I haven't seen as much baseball as you, but that curveball fooled almost every batter he threw it to in the All-American Baseball Challenge last year. So this pitching staff all has unique weapons. This pitching staff all has fastballs that can play. And so I think it's going to be very difficult to score runs off the Jackals when the pitching staff is at their peak performance.
Very interesting, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and just talking in so much depth about the roster. I wanted to end the conversation with pace of play rules. I'll just set it up because I talked to it about it in my game recaps and news this morning on the blog. The league has not made available to the public, I think, as far as I know. I'm not even on the media list so far. They have not made available the rules. I know because I watched and listened to a preseason broadcast of the Washington Wild Things. And they mentioned that they had a 7-page document where they explain all the new rules for the game to be sped up a little. And there is a synopsis at the end. I'm putting you on the spot. We talked about it just before the interview, so you don't have to talk about every rule. Are there some of them that make sense to you, or that maybe that you don't like or are eager to see how they'll be implemented?
I mean, in terms of the 1 through 9 innings, nothing's really changed. I mean, they do spell out how much time you have between innings and when that supposed clock starts. We don't have clocks on the field as the Atlantic League does and some of the minor leagues and now the major leagues do.
Right.
So there's no ticking clock of, hey, you've got to it's just the umpires that keep the time. Oh. But it runs 1 through 9 runs through as a normal game. And then they have the international tiebreaker for the 10th inning, which I personally would prefer that we play extra innings as they were, and you actually earn the right to win the game by getting a guy on, getting him over, and then getting him in, as opposed to it being placed. But that rule is here to stay, and it's made its way into the major leagues as well, so it's not going anywhere. And there still is strategy that's involved, because now you have the runner at second. Are you going to bunt him over, or are you going to wait for 2 sacrifices? So there's strategy involved. I really don't think that the pace of play rules are, I mean, obviously for you being so wanting to dive so deep into the Frontier League and its rules and regulations, I understand why you would want to see that. But in terms of the public being interested in it, I don't think there's a need for it. And that is why that it's not listed on the Frontier League website, because it's nothing out of the ordinary.
I'm not sure that I agree with that, because there is this rule where the walk-up songs. So I think as soon as the previous out is done, you have to walk up to the batter's box, and even if the walk-up song is not started, you have to go. And then there's a warning if you don't. There's a $25. How do you call it? Not stipend, but fine. Sorry, $25 fine. There is a warning to the bench if you're not staying into the batter's box. Is that something that was there before and I did not know that?
In terms of the Frontier League, I'm not certain, because obviously we weren't a member of the league in prior years, yeah, so their rules and regulations are slightly different from what the Can-Am League was. As far as in terms of that, though, but that's one of the things that I'm saying it would be shocking if that ever came into play, because, it's a normal pace of games. So if you have the fly out, obviously the out's recorded, the fans cheer, and the guy already starts walking up, and the walk-up song hits. And I know for our run of show, I have said, as that foot digs into the box, you should be fading out their walk-up song. And there have been times in the past where the umpire will turn around and say, hey, cut off the music. But it seems as though everyone is pretty understanding of, we know what's expected. The batter wants to hear his song to get pumped up. He wants that song. He needs that as part of his mental calisthenics as he's getting ready to face a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and don't we all in situations like that?
Yeah.
So I think in that situation, it's understood. These are the guidelines that we have to follow. There are penalties if they are not followed, but I don't envision a situation where any team would get into, or any player would put their team at a disadvantage by not following those rules.
Okay, that makes sense. Reed, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I love those game talks. I mean, let's do it again as much as we can. I mean, if you want to talk New Jersey Jackals baseball, just hit me up, man, anytime.
Absolutely. I mean, given the adverse weather we've had, I have all of the time in the world to do these conversations. So anytime is an honor to speak with you. I've been a big fan of the content since it started rolling out. I think you told me I was one of 4 readers, including your dog, but I assume that the fan base is about to explode once they realize that the Frontier League Journal is the place to go for league-wide coverage.
I'm hoping to have 10 readers by the end of this season, man. That's my goal.
Well, I have 10 interns in my press box that will be following all of your content. So you're gonna surpass that number.
I love it. Have a great day, man, and thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks, Dave. You too.
Bye-bye.